Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Silverbell. I have a New Year's reading for you guys. I want to try and do a little bit more on this channel, but I just kind of haven't had the time or energy to make these videos and chop them up. So anyway, just remember these are Pokemon card divinations, don't take them too seriously. And pick whichever object that you feel drawn to the most and jump into the timestamp in the description to view your reading. The ones that we have here are this Meowth. We have a Moth. We have a couch. We have an angel. We have a cobra. And we have a sea turtle. Keep in mind, these are for the general collective. If you want a super specific reading for yourself, then you're going to have to commission me on Ko-fi. But other than that, you know, sit back, have fun, and thank you for watching. Okay, everyone. If you pick this Meowth, here is your quick New Year's reading. Alright, so the main theme of this year, this neutralization zone, this is going to be a time of, like, things returning to a baseline. If you've been the underdog last year, basically what this means is you're going to go up into a more successful position. And if you're already in an extremely successful position right now, while this may mean that things drop a little, it's going to at least ensure you that things are not going to hit rock bottom. It's only going to be, you know, like a moderate setback. It might not even really be a setback at all. It might just be something. And as an example, maybe you lose a higher paying job and you manage to find a less paying job, but it's also like a way less stressful type of job. That could be something that happens. And from last year, this Revavroom EX, we had a lot of change last year and a lot of speed, but it might have felt like you weren't really going anywhere despite the speed. It's just that, like, everything happens so much kind of energy. And that kind of goes on into this year, where now Lucario is like a Pokemon and very heroic, but also very intuitive. And things are going to slow down a bit, but they're going to have a lot more obvious direction. It's going to really allow you to shine. You might be a huge team player in this new year. And then this goes into this card. I don't know if that's Mincino or Minchino. I've never actually heard this Pokemon pronounced out loud. I mostly play the games. And this is a card about, like, cleaning up your act, basically. Especially going into, like, this heroic card. You're going to get the chance to, you know, make yourself more presentable if you weren't already, or I kind of hear the words prove them wrong. But yeah, there's all that chaos is going to start being a bit more normal. We have Ditto. So one of the big things you want to watch out for this year is about, like, conforming a little too much to other people's standards. Because, like, Ditto is cool because it can copy everyone else, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it should. Like, if a Ditto is copying someone who's, or a Pokemon that isn't very good, right? And how to avoid unnecessarily conforming is going to be this festival grounds. Not literally a festival, but just, like, letting go, getting out there, socializing. Ironically enough, that's going to help cultivate, like, your inner self, your inner values, and, like, stay away from just kind of mindlessly blending in. And that moves on into this card about like how to achieve your goals the best. We have Deoxys V. And Deoxys is a very strange card, but it has like a different forms for each like situation it's in. Like it's got a defense form, it's got an attack form, it's got a speed form, and it's got like a normal balanced form. So just, keep your options open, be willing to change in a way that's best for you. Don't necessarily change depending on like what other people tell you that you should do in order to like be more like them, Just be you, be weird, and be open. Alright, that was your quick New Year's reading. Thanks for clicking on the video. I'll see you next time. Okay, so if you chose this Moth, this is going to be your New Year's reading. Now, for the main theme of the year, we have Letter of Encouragement. This is telling us that this is going to be a more, like, long-distance run and not a short sprint. Remember, this is going to be a thing about endurance, and it's also telling us that the things that you need to be sustained this year, these opportunities will be provided to you. All that's left for you to do is to really, like, take the plunge, so to speak. For energies that are leaving us this year and staying in last year, we have this Mew. And it might be tempting to say that this is like a bit of an omen because it's a really good card. It's about like, being surrounded by friends. It's about new beginnings. But what this is telling me is that, especially with like in conjunction with this Timer Ball card, it just means that things were starting last year, but things are finishing this year. You know what I mean? Like there was probably a big project that like took months, maybe even the entire year to, kind of solidify, manifest, whatever you want to call it. And then this year is the year that you're going to, have the fruits of your labor. You're going to catch everything. But, yeah, new beginnings are already done. Now we're moving on to the big stuff. Now for future opportunities, we have this Porygon card. There's going to be a huge sense of nostalgia. There's also going to be a little bit of a temptation to return to how things used to be, like, rose-tinted glasses. And I think under normal circumstances, when we think about things, like when people talk about the glory days, it's kind of like, it's actually in a negative connotation, like this person is still stuck in the past. But in this case, there are some merits to perhaps an older system that you used to adhere to, or, well, I guess this implies that you're converting to someone else's system or something else. And for some reason, I keep hearing, like, the term analog in my mind. And this could just be telling you to have fun with, like, more old school types of technology, like Polaroids, how people have gotten really into things like Polaroid pictures, making mixtapes or listening to vinyl records, that kind of thing. If you're a digital artist, this might be pushing you to do more traditional art or other things such as like fiber crafts, like crochet, embroidery, that kind of thing. But this is returning to something. If you had an old job that you really, really liked, this could also be an opportunity to get back into that field. Now, for upcoming obstacles, we have Colress's experiment, and basically this just kind of means that sometimes in order to make decisions and do what's best for us, we do have to sacrifice a little. So, this card is look at the top 5 cards of your deck and put 3 of them into your hand and the other 2 in the lost zone. And, that can be... I mean, the Lost Zone is a place. It's not really used in the TCG anymore, but it was kind of like a discard pile, but you cannot retrieve cards from the Lost Zone with any kind of, like, card effect. At least with the discard pile, it's kind of just like putting it in your trash bin. There are some cards that you can use to take things out. But the Lost Zone is forever. And how to deal with that is to, like, remind yourself that life keeps on turning. This Magnezone is doing work on, like, a conveyor belt. Usually I associate this with, like, daily chores or, like, everyday activities. But in this case, I think the best thing that you have to remember is that, things keep happening. You can still do other stuff, even if there's, like, a few things that you can't do anymore. Life moves on. And how to achieve your goals, we have this grass energy card. I usually associate this with wood energy. The idea of, like, being flexible and allowing for growth, both in physical and, like, spiritual sense. This is a really good card to see if you've been looking on growing your material wealth as well. This could say that as long as you just kind of, like, keep at it and try not to let things get to you, you're going to be building those opportunities. Alright, so pile number 2, I hope that helps. Happy New Year. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, if you picked this couch, then here is your message. Your quick reading for this year. Alright, first card, we have Temple of Sinnoh. Now, usually I associate this with, like, religious and spiritual things, but in this case, this could also be, like, joining a club or going back to school. It basically just kind of represents any sort of like, framework and a sense of community, I guess. But yeah, this is going to be a good time to, mingle with people or getting to know yourself through a structured environment such as a course. Card number 2, for departing energies from last year, we have this Parasect. It may have felt like last year you were doing too much of what other people told you to do, and this wasn't really cultivating in much. Like, yeah, sometimes you do kind of have to do what other people tell you to do just because they've already done that before, and so, like, they know the answer to whatever your problem is, but other times you're just kind of, wandering around. And you're not getting anything done. But you're going to be doing less of that, and you're going to be listening to your intuition, your inner self, and your emotions a little bit more this year. This water energy, going with the flow as well. This could also be going with, like, very strong dreams, paying attention to your dreams. And this in itself, we have Cassiopeia and Penny. And you can use this card when you don't have any other cards left in your hand, and it allows you to search for any 2 cards, which it might have felt like last year you were backed into a corner, but this is telling you that things are going to change. However, I will say Absol for upcoming obstacles is not the best, but it feels like whatever this is been a long time coming. You're probably already aware of what this could be referring to, such as if someone has a particular illness that is going to get worse, it's just a matter of time, that kind of thing. And the best way to deal with that is trust. You have to put your trust in your friends or your family, not like necessarily your blood family, but like, your chosen family, if that applies to you. And you have to be willing to take the plunge, deal with those emotions, and also know that there are people who still have your back. As for how to achieve your goals the best, we have Dream Ball. And this is basically just going back to this water energy, cultivating your sense of intuition, paying attention to your literal dreams, but also your actual, like, conscious desires, so to speak. Like those kinds of dreams as well. And by paying attention to your dreams and what they're trying to tell you and what your desires say about you, this is ultimately going to be, like, this is going to open up like the path for you to help overcome all this, anything that happens, but also to help, like, leave behind the past energies of last year. So just remember that your dreams are important. Anyway, that is the reading. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Alright, pile number 4. If you picked this Pyrite Angel, this is going to be your reading. So, main theme for pile number 4. The main theme of this year, fairy energy. This year is going to be full of magic for you. There's also kind of like a sort of trickster energy with fairies, like, I mean, because, you know, they're fairies. So, it's overall going to be good, but it might be a little bit of a mixed bag. There might be some confusing parts in this year. But let's continue. Yeah, okay. Departing energies from last year, we have Pikachu. Now, Pikachu is like, you know, he's cool. He's like the mascot, right? But he's also kind of overdone. This could be referencing more stale energies, and, like, it might be a more, like, tried but true kind of thing, but this is kind of saying that you have to start leaving those behind and think of something new. Alright. Especially, yeah, okay. So this third card is basically just kind of like your talents that are going to be prominent this year. And Beedrill, I'm trying to think of another way to phrase this, but, like, you know, it's kind of like locking in, right? Like, this is a very pointed attack. And this is also about, like, getting your crew involved, doing stuff with your friends. Like, you know, Swarming Sting, it does more damage the more Beedrill you have. So, this means that you will be... This is also, like, a very aggressive energy. You're gonna be, like, getting what you want, and it's because you're, you know, more focused and less relying on old systems that aren't gonna work anymore. Future opportunities, we literally have the psychic energy. Wow. If you're a very intuitive person, if you're already, like, a magical person, like, if you're, some sort of witch or occultist or something, or if you're, like, getting into tarot cards or whatever, this is just like emphasizing that is going to be a theme this year. Is, you know, it's magic. And, you know, if you don't believe in literal magic, then this could just be about I don't want to say, like, the magic of life, but, you know, there's just so many wondrous things in this world, and this is a sign that you're going to be paying more attention to them. Now, for upcoming obstacles, Soul Rock. Soul Rock is obviously, like, always paired with Lunatone. But in this case, there is no Lunatone. There's Jirachi. And this is basically saying that your wishes are going to come true this month. It's just not necessarily going... Why did I say... Your wishes are going to be coming true this year. It's just like not in the exact same way that you were expecting it to be, especially because you were holding on to these old paradigms last year. This could be about how that's also going to be your biggest obstacle, is like learning to let go of those old functions that no longer serve you. But it will come in the fact that you're going to achieve some things or be handed some things. It's just not going to be in the way that you were expecting. How to achieve goals, we have Salazzle. Now, Salazzle is all about making everyone else do things for her, right? You know, she has these pheromones that control the other Salandit and, you know, boss them around and all that stuff. So this is going to be about, like, letting things come to you. It's also going to be about using things strategically and resourcefully, such as if you have friends who can help you. Now, obviously, like, don't mind control your friends, but you know how this card was also talking about, you know, getting your gang together. That's just, like, you know, playing off of that. That's going to be huge for getting the things that you want. Don't be afraid to say no if someone offers, or I mean, don't be afraid to say yes if someone offers to help you, basically. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, welcome back. If you chose this snake, this is going to be your reading. Ooh, main theme for this year. We got Diancie. This is, as an overall year card, this is actually really good. This is, you know, it's literal diamonds, right? This could represent monetary gain, but this could also be a sort of like wish fulfilled card. It really depends, but let's see some other things. All right. So last year, meddling memo. Yeah, it felt like your plans were being foiled last year. Ooh, yeah, especially in comparison to this year where everything is starting to align. Things are really starting to shine here. Alright. Yeah, this new year, the third card is more of like talents this new year, Giovanni's Charisma. This is about like, you take an energy off your opponent's Pokemon and then you put an energy onto your Pokemon. It's really good for it's really good for both messing up someone else's strategy and also putting you in a better position. And it's also just like a cool card to get. Future opportunities, rare candy. Wow. Wow, this is a really fast level up too. Damn. Sorry, it's just like, this is such a very obvious reading compared to some of the other ones that I do. For potential problems, counter energy. Yeah, there's gonna be some people who are not gonna like your glow up this year. There's gonna be some people who are not, like, they might even try to meddle just like the other one, or just like last year. But yeah, you just have to rely on your friends, and you also have to remember that, like, you don't have to conform to fit in. Like, this Palmy is shiny, but it's still accepted by the other ones if it's hurt. And you have to, like, remember that your own unique gifts are just, like, what you bring to the table. And that's going to be really good. You know, like, you know what they, like, say about, like, blocking out the haters? That's gonna be what you're gonna have to do this year. Whew. How to achieve your goals. We have the fire energy. Yeah, this is going to be a super active, super charged, super like peppy year for you. Oh, that's actually really good to see. I mean, like, all of these cards have been pretty decent so far with the other readings too, but like this is like giving such a glow up vibes. So yeah, if you guys picked the snake, you are lucky ducks this year. Thank you for watching. This was your quick collective reading. I hope to see you again. Alright, last but not least, we have this turtle. So, this is going to be your reading. Pile number 6. And the first card we have, the main theme is the experience share. And this is representing that you're going to learn a lot of things this year. And you're also going to be able to, like, recycle a bunch of things. Like, as an example, if you had a notebook and you just kind of, like, never used it, it's all sitting on your shelf, now is going to be the time to use it. Like, you're not going to lose, or you're not, like, gonna have to gain any new resources. The resources have always been there. You just, like, forgot about them, or you just haven't had the time to use them, or whatever. This could also be about, like, if you had, like, certain craft supplies, like, if you wanted to learn crochet, or, like, you know, something like that, it could be a sign to get those things out for this year. Departing energies, yeah, cook. The cook is kind of, like, staying in your comfort zone. Like, he's letting you sit back and relax. He's the guy who's making the food, and, like, it is good to rest and sit there, but, like, last year was the time of that kind of indulgence. This year, we're moving on to deduction kit. And this goes back with the experience share. You're going to be learning things, and you're going to be able to use that knowledge in order to put yourself in a more advantageous position instead of letting other people decide your strategy for you. Oh, yeah. Make it rain for future opportunities. This year we have Golden Go EX. Like, this guy is literally made of money, and I'm not necessarily saying that you are going to get tons of money. This could be spiritual wealth, emotional wealth, settling down, doing, like, other stuff, finding a new hobby, finding a new source of joy in your life. You know, it could be a career change, it could be whatever, but good opportunities to shine are coming your way this year. Upcoming obstacles, we have Eviltal, and yeah, that is going to be a problem. This is basically the equivalent of the death card. It could be literal death, it's usually metaphorical death though. And this could be like, yeah, I'm getting the feeling that in the past there were certain comforts, certain coping mechanisms, and even though they helped you in the short term, they're not helping you in the long term, and that's why you have to be okay with letting them go. That's why you're going to have to be okay with moving on, is that times change, and that's okay. How to deal with this sort of like letting go, moving on, death energy is the love ball, and I think this goes back to the Golden Go, is like, you're going to have these new opportunities, you're going to find something else that you like more than whatever was happening here, because, like, of course this is a pleasant experience, but it's also kind of a mild experience. With this, like, abundance and this love going on here, it is showing that you're basically, like, leaving a mediocre thing for a great thing. How to achieve our goals, we have Smeargle. Yeah, this is sparking, or like, this is speaking to your new creativity, especially now that you're going to be able to think things through. It's going to be the type of creativity that other people just try really hard at, but to you it's gonna come naturally, right? it's going to be as easy as making it rain. You have the metaphorical, like, brain dollars in your hand. You just gotta make it rain, right? But anyway, yeah, if you were feeling unsure about whether or not you were going into the right direction, this is a sign that things are going to work out. You might have to work smarter, not harder, but this is overall pretty good for this year. So, pile number 6 with your turtle. Thank you for watching. Hope you all have a great day. Happy New Year.